Alright guys, welcome to Flav Oriana's MMA show. I'm your host Flav Oriana, brought to you by Four Corner Sports. Alright guys, so the UFC announced a couple of fights, alright, and I gotta say, they're pretty good fights that, us fight fans would have loved to see, and we got some of the fights that we kind of wished for, so here we go. Alright, so the UFC just announced, alright, today, Brett Okamoto of ESPN ended up announcing that Dana White is going to have on October 23rd Paulo Costa versus Marvin Vettori. Now, I'm very intrigued in this matchup. I'm very interested. Believe me, I wanted to see this matchup, but as I really came down and thought about it, I'm like, Paulo Costa versus Marvin Vettori. No, there's nothing wrong with that matchup whatsoever. The reason why I'm a little bit like, I'm like, oh, okay, is I first wanted it. Then I'm thinking about it. You know what? Vettori just lost to Adesanya. Last time we saw Costa, he lost to Adesanya, right? You could paint the narrative that Paulo Costa is like the villain out of Adesanya versus Costa, just because of the trash talking that was occurring, and we can say that, you know what, maybe he took it a bit too far, and that's why Adesanya ended up doing what he ended up doing at the very end of the fight after he ended up getting the victory. All right, with Vettori just angry Marvin. We know that this guy can't control his temperament, which is okay because you know what, that allows him to become the fighter that he is. I mean, it got him all the way up to a title fight and a rematch with the champ. Now, the champ, Adesanya, is undefeated at middleweight. And we were able to see this past June in Phoenix, Arizona, or Glendale, Arizona, what Adesanya was able to do with 5 rounds compared to 3 rounds against Vettori. Now, there were some question marks coming into the fight, that Vettori possibly could have won. I rewatched that fight, the first fight, and I said that Adesanya won the first fight, and Adesanya left zero doubt in my mind after watching that second fight that Adesanya is the way better fighter against Vettori. So now Vettori needs to win at least a couple of fights to get himself back into the mix and to possibly getting another title shot. Do I see that happening? Well, the only way that's going to happen is if he gets past Paulo Costa, who hasn't fought since last September, which is when he ended up fighting Israel Adesanya. Now, I personally think that it's a very weird matchup in the aspect of, like, you have villain versus villain, if you understand what I'm talking about. Like, from a wrestling standpoint, you don't want to have the heel face the heel, just because, like, it is not really good storyline to go around it. I mean, these guys don't have much animosity to one another. They just have a common enemy. And I just find it weird, that, all right, fine, they were bound to face each other just because due to the rankings, but I felt like Vettori should have been facing somebody else, and Costa, should have been facing somebody else. Like, I would have loved to see Paulo Costa versus, Sean Strickland. That to me is must-see television. Do I think they would have done it? No, because I think Costa is ranked number 2, but right behind Robert Whittaker. And by tomorrow's rankings, we're gonna see Sean Strickland most likely at the bare minimum ranked number 8. So I would have loved to see that, but I don't think they would have done it. I advocated to see Vettori versus Strickland just because I could see Sean Strickland, voicing his opinion, voice and frustrating the hell out of Marvin Vettori, causing him to become angry Marvin inside the ring. So, but we're not going to see that. But it says October 23rd. I highly believe that's going to be on Fight Island. That very next week is going to be Glover Teixeira versus Jan Blachowicz on a numbered card. It's weird how they state it. A slated pay-per-view, a non-pay-per-view numbered card. I just say it's a free pay-per-view just because it's going to be UFC 260. What is it? I mean, UFC 267. There's so many of these numbers, but yeah, you're gonna have. It's gonna be the week before, so that's a good fight card to watch, as that's most likely gonna be the main event, right before UFC 267. And then we also had another fight announced. It was Alexa Grasso. She's gonna be getting a fight. Last time we saw her was on the co-main event with against Macy Barber. That was the card that Kamaru Usman ended up knocking out Gilbert Burns right before UFC 250. That was UFC 258. So Alexa Grasso, she's getting her opponent, and it's against Joanne Calderwood. Now Joanne Calderwood, kind of a rough stretch. I mean, I believe she's on a 2-fight losing streak. She lost her most recent fight to Lauren Murphy. Also lost to Jennifer Maia. Now it's a string of bad luck because this is not an easy opponent for Joanne Calderwood. At one point last year, she was scheduled. At one point, I don't think they signed a battle agreement yet, but they were on a very tipping point of having Calderwood fight Valentina Shevchenko for the UFC women's flyweight title. Now, Calderwood wanted to stay busy, and she took a gamble. And she ended up facing Jennifer Maia, which she ended up losing. And then Jennifer Maia gets awarded the title shot with Valentina Shevchenko, where Valentina would retain her title by decision. But yeah, so Calderwood had to make up the opportunity that she lost, faced Lauren Murphy, lost to Lauren Murphy, and now she's in a deeper hole onto trying to get that first title shot that she deeply wants. But she's facing a savage in Alexa Grasso, who is a tough cookie, very nice young lady, but she has the ability to knock you out. She has possibly one of the best boxing skills at 125 pounds, and I certainly do feel that Alexa Grasso has the advantage. I mean, she's on a roll. She beat Macy Barber. She has phenomenal footwork. I saw that, yes, Macy was the heavier puncher, and whenever she landed against Grasso, it did hurt her. But Joanne Calderwood does not have that one knockout power, that one knockout punch that Barber has. So I don't think there's much to worry about. It's just a matter of getting it down to the ground, which Grasso, she's not gonna allow herself to get down to the ground. Has very good takedown defense because it all starts with her footwork. So very intrigued on that matchup. I believe that matchup is on November 20th, if I'm not mistaken. I'm looking on my phone to just double confirm. But November 20th, the number 6 ranked Joanne Calderwood fights number 10 ranked Alexa Grasso. So it's a good matchup, and also Joanne Calderwood also signed a multi-fight deal extension, so we're gonna see her in the UFC for a little bit much longer. So that's good news for Joanne Calderwood. But yeah, guys, so that's what the UFC ended up announcing. I know last week we ended up getting more announcement of Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler. That's going to be at UFC 268. There's no official date as of right now for UFC 268. Not even Okamoto has said it. I know if you go on MMA Twitter, you're going to see people say it's November 6th. It's not official yet. Just wait for the official announcement. But yes, Gaethje versus Chandler is officially going to happen on UFC 268. That's going to be the co-main event for the headliner of Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington Part 2. So I'm very intrigued in this matchup. As we saw a couple weeks ago, or I think it was last week, Chandler calling out Gaethje and Gaethje finally responding. Gaethje has been absent. He has been MIA since last October when he ended up forcing to be submitted by Khabib Nurmagomedov, which was Khabib's final fight of his MMA career. So that was the last time we ended up seeing him in the octagon. So fast forward a year and a month later, we're going to have Justin Gaethje inside of the octagon against Michael Chandler, who his last fight was against Charles Oliveira for the UFC lightweight title, and ended up getting knocked out by Oliveira. So both fighters coming off of a loss. Both fighters, where their previous fight was for the title, and I would say the winner of this most likely pushes himself in the echelon of of a future title shot after Dustin Poirier gets his. Whether Dustin Poirier wins or not, we'll see if the winner of Gaethje versus Chandler gets a crack at the lightweight title. But yeah, guys, so that covers everything that the UFC ended up announcing. That covers everything that I wanted to bring to you guys on Flav Oriana. Thanks for tuning in, and hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you guys next time. Peace, guys, and have a good one.